if the springtime reset is taking over for you and you're finding yourself kind of asking, what is like the next goal that I should set, then this video is going to be for you. Because before you start setting your brand new goals for your spring reset, for moving into this new season, I challenge you to ask yourself, do you need to set a goal or do you need to set up a brand new system? Now, each of them have their own benefits, and I wanted to take this video to actually explain the difference and how you can actually utilize one to help the other. And I think that that's going to be very important, especially if you're finding yourself continuously on this hamster wheel of setting up brand new goals because you're just simply falling off the wagon on a regular basis. Hey, hello, how's it going? This is Meshi. I'm the person behind Aligned Plans, and I wanted to talk to you today about goal setting and functionality and productivity. It's something that we haven't really dove right into on this channel, but I think that it's very important because I do have a really unique take on the topic. If you're new here and you've never met me, we talk a couple of times a week on this channel and we talk about anything and everything. Planning, journaling, stationery love, all of the things that really involve around creating and having this love affair with stationery. But today I'm diving a little bit deeper into how we can actually use these tools in a more optimal way where you're actually achieving your goals. So we're not just accumulating the things, but we're really giving them a job. So if you're finding yourself at the beginning of the year setting brand new goals, if you're finding yourself every quarter setting new or revamping your existing goals and you're just simply not making progress, I think that this video is going to be helpful, mainly because I think that sometimes we set those goals up with the absolute best of intentions and we sort of see like where we want to go, right? I know that whenever I was setting up goals for myself, I would always kind of have this idea, this romanticized idea of how I would like to kind of achieve those goals, whether that's a financial goal, a health goal, changing certain habits that I wanted to kind of let go of. And the thing was that I can maintain working on those goals on a regular basis, but then I can maintain working on those goals for a short while. And then after that, I would find myself falling off the wagon and I would just kind of return back to my original habits. And recently, I was actually reading a book called The Atomic Habits. I will just put a picture of it right here. If you haven't read the book, please read it. I think that that will kind of go in alignment with what I'm actually telling you today. I'm not going to regurgitate what the book actually says. I want you to read that for yourself. But essentially, the main reason why you might find yourself that you're actually not achieving your goals is because you haven't actually changed something on a deeper level, on a subconscious level. And now from coaching, I've known this for a really long time, but I never kind of put the two and two together. So goals are all about like the big picture. Goals are all about really painting a picture of what is your deepest desire. And just because you have this vision of what you would like to achieve does not actually make it into taking action towards it or having clarity around what actually you need on an individual basis for you to achieve them. So before we can even talk about goals versus systems or the benefits of each, I would actually challenge you to really just ask yourself, I'm going to just put a few questions here on the screen, but essentially what I would like you to ask yourself is where you are today, kind of having like an overview of what's happening with you. And you're welcome to actually journal on this topic, or you can just simply ask yourself and you can record the answer, or you can talk to a trusted friend. However you get these answers out, I find that when you're writing down your answers, it kind of forces you to slow down so that the answer that comes through is truly coming from your subconscious mind rather than just a reactive first response, quick response answer. So most of us, when we're setting brand new goals, most of us actually feel stuck. So where do I feel stuck in my life? And it's an important question because it's sort of feeling stuck feels like you're out of options, or in other words, feeling stuck can also be a symptom of lack of creativity within that area of your life. You haven't actually challenged in other ways of doing the thing or achieving the main goal that you want within that area of your life. So sometimes we want to set new goals because we're finding our day-to-day to be far more mundane, or it's too boring, or it's not challenging enough. So you might actually find yourself under-challenged in certain areas of your life, or you might find yourself fragmented when your attention goes into multiple different areas, or you might find yourself exhausted. Whatever the first answer is for you when it comes to how do you feel on your day-to-day, trust that first instinct, because that's sort of where your attention actually needs to go to. The next thing I want you to ask yourself is, how do I want to feel? And the reason why we're going after emotions here versus going after like the real tangible nitty-gritty day-to-day to-do list is because when you focus on how you want to feel, it's a wide open statement. Not only is it a wide open statement, but it's more open-ended, and it leaves room for interpretation, and it also leaves room for you to become flexible in how you get there. So what do I mean by this? If you focus on the answer of how do I want to feel, or what do I want to experience more of, you immediately move away from the idea of how you currently feel. You immediately move away from, well, I feel stuck, I feel unhappy, I feel, I don't know, tired, I feel exhausted, I feel underappreciated, I feel overlooked. So it takes all of those negative connotations and then it shifts it towards, okay, if you feel undervalued, if you feel overlooked, how do you actually want to feel? I want to feel relaxed. I want to feel free, or filled with options, or balanced, or joyful. So it takes you towards where you actually want to feel, and then your subconscious mind will immediately start looking for experiences that will match that. So you might find yourself, after you do this exercise, that your mind on a subconscious level will start looking for opportunities where you can say, hey, does this feel joyful? Does this feel balanced? Is this balanced to me? Is this grounded for me? Let's say those were your words. And your mind plays these really funny tricks on you. And if you ask the wrong question, and if you're asking yourself, how do I feel right now? Then you will also find a lot of examples. Your mind will find examples of, I feel underappreciated. See, this is another example of how you feel undervalued or underappreciated. This is another example of how you feel, or why you feel overlooked. So instead of asking how you feel right now, focus on how you actually want to feel, like the desired outcome, because then your subconscious mind will automatically start looking for examples of validating and showing you examples of what could balance and what could balance and grounded could feel like, or what those desired emotions could feel like. So that's sort of where I would begin the work before I would look at systems versus goals. Now let's move on to actually identifying the difference between the two. Goals, I briefly mentioned this a little bit earlier, but it's worth repeating. Goals are your big picture. So imagine that you're looking at, let's say your goal is to be able to go on vacation. Well, having a desire to go on vacation would be basically you imagining the sunset of wherever you're going to go. Maybe it's a beautiful beach, and maybe you just see yourself walk outside of the balcony and you see the sunset. So maybe that's sort of what that goal could look like for you as you envision it. But you seeing that vision does not mean that you already have a system in place for you to get there. Think goals as very time specific. So you would set the time of like when you want to achieve it. They are a continuous, they continue to push your growth, which is fantastic. So in order for you to be able to go on vacation, you need to obviously kind of take a look at like how you're going to get there. It also moves with time. So goals can be very tricky because especially it's sort of like the version of you that sets the goal for the future version of you that will achieve the goal. There's sort of that journey. So the goal does not focus on the journey. The goal focuses on that one single pointed achievement. So an easy example with that would be like if you're playing a sport and then you're getting prepped for a competition. Well, the competition has a set time, so you already know when it's going to be. So you already have a specific time frame, and it does not care about that that journey of what it will take for you to go through that transformation of how you will actually get there in order for you to win. Not only that, but the goal is going to be the same for those that are winning versus those that are losing, essentially. So the goal is going to be the same for those that desire to go on vacation versus those that never get the opportunity to go on vacation, but they still have the desire. So the goal does not actually achieve the goal for you. The goal is just sort of showing you a glimpse of what could be. It shows you a potential. A goal is also, it could be a source of motivation. So for some of us, goals can be a fantastic way to kind of drive us, to sort of hold us accountable, especially if you make that goal public. And before we go any further, I just wanted to preface that there's nothing wrong with setting goals. So I'm not giving a hard time to goals. I think that they're fantastic, but I do believe that in order for you to be able to achieve your goals on a regular basis, rather than continue to set them, you also need systems in place. So we're going to talk about systems and how they differ in a moment. So goals can also be a source, potentially a source of a community that you kind of connect with. It could be a source of a new community somewhere where you haven't connected before. And goals are generally there to enrich your life. So goals are generally there as a positive influence on your life. Sometimes it can go overboard, but for the most part, they're something very positive. Now let's talk about systems. Systems are a little bit more flexible than the goals. Goals tend to be really rigid, versus systems tend to be really movable, very moldable, because they are going to be individual to your personal life and is going to be individual to your personal needs. The other thing about systems is that they're not stagnant. So goals seem to be fairly stagnant as to exactly what it is. It's pretty clear, it's pretty precise, like of what the actual goal is, versus systems. Okay, a goal could be that you want to win a championship in a sport. A system is the process that you need to go through as a coach. If you are a coach, so let's say you're a coach and you wanted to win a championship, right? So a goal is to win the championship. A system is to go through getting other coaches to kind of help you and train them, and also recruiting players and then coaching them. So that's your system. The system is, what are some of the elements that I need to take care of in order for me to be able to achieve the goal, right? The other thing about systems is that the main purpose is to provide support where you are currently. So that's sort of the main differentiator that I really wanted to point out, that systems are there as a supporting leg. They are sort of meeting you where you are, which is why it's going to be individual for each of you. So let's say I'm about to start running a 5K and you're about to start running a 5K and we both enter the same race. The type of support that I'm going to need, let's say, like, that's not even hypothetical, that's actually a thing. I have 3 children, so the type of support that I need in order for me to be able to make it to my regular runs and practice, one of the systems that I need to put in place is daycare. I have to make sure that my children are taken care of so that I can go and run. I need to be able to kind of schedule in my workouts so that I can actually get regular runs in, leading all the way up to the race. Versus with you, let's say you don't have any children, then you're obviously not going to need daycare, but let's say that you need new running shoes. So you're going to need new running shoes and I need to have daycare in place. I already have running shoes, so I don't need to buy them. So does that make sense as to the type of support that you need is going to be individual to you versus the type of support that I need, the type of system that I need in place for me to achieve the exact same goal as you is going to be different. It needs to cater to my needs, where I'm at, and the type of support that I actually require in order for me to make progress. The other thing that's really beautiful about systems is that it actually has measurable progress built in, versus a goal doesn't actually have a measurable progress in place in order for you to keep you motivated. So that's one thing to kind of keep note of, is that a system can very much have sort of like these benchmarks or these benchmarks that you can kind of hit, and that in and of itself can already be another massive source of motivation. If you find that sort of thing ends up motivating you, if you find that you have habit trackers and you find it satisfying to kind of mark off certain habits because you've done it, then having systems in place is going to be fantastic for you, no matter what your goal is. The other thing is about systems is that they're not time specific. So because they're not specific to a time, then a system does not actually need a goal in order for it to be effective. You could have a bunch of systems in place in order for you to support you currently where you are and then long term. But a goal definitely needs a system. Isn't that funny? So in order for you to be able to achieve a goal, you definitely need a system. But in order for you to have a system in place, you don't actually have to have a goal in order for the system to work for you. You could just have a bunch of systems that are sort of supporting you and allowing you to make progress, and that could be it. So I could still go for a run and work on my posture and work on my cardiovascular health without actually me having to enter a race ever. And I will still get the same benefits out of it. It might be different, it might land differently, but at the end of the day, I'm still going to get the health benefits of, I'm still going to get the same health benefits of going for a run. Let's say that's sort of one of my things. Now, the other thing that I wanted to kind of mention about goals versus systems. So understanding the role of each of them not only can be eye-opening, but it sort of allows for you to get yourself off the hook. If you're a female, you already know that we set really ambitious goals, and sometimes we pick really unrealistic timelines. And when we're not achieving those goals, then we can be really hard on ourselves. And if you're finding that your attention is fragmented, the space that you have available for that set goal is not realistic, and you would recognize that just based on challenging those goals and seeing, okay, do you actually have mental space for it? Do you actually have energy left at the end of all of the things that you do on a regular basis for you to actually achieve that goal realistically? Or are we stretching ourselves far too thin just so that we can say that we've achieved that too? I think that right now culturally we're moving away from this idea of women having to do it all, but there's still a lot to be said about that. And I wanted to kind of point that out because there is such a high societal expectation for women to kind of take care of everything, that on top of that, when we're setting our own personal goals and we're falling short, it definitely feels like a real devastating blow. So I kind of wanted to just point that out, that start with the questions that I gave you at the very beginning and be really honest with how do you feel and where you actually feel stuck. That will kind of give you an insight of what to kind of work on. And also, what is actually missing from your day-to-day, if anything, or what do you have too much of in your day-to-day? Having these honest questions answered and really having to kind of do a little bit of a time out, it allows you to look at spring reset, and it allows you to do a spring cleaning from a whole other direction when it comes to setting brand new goals. And I know that when we're moving into a new season, it's so tempting to set brand new wellness goals, brand new financial goals, and really start pushing the envelope to new heights. And I'm so for it. I think that having this sense of momentum and drive to create our best life, I think it's absolutely amazing. But I always kind of wanted to caution you guys on in what way, in what framework are we using to set those goals up so that we're not continually, regurgitating the same goal. And if you're finding that you're not achieving your goals, it could just be that we haven't actually challenged ourselves on a deeper level to make space for it. Create a system that actually supports us for us to be able to achieve those goals. And I think that in and of itself is placing a few of these systems in place can make a world of a difference, because then now you're changing the lifestyle versus just chasing one single pointed goal. This is all I wanted to share with you. I hope that you have found this helpful and useful. Question of the day, comment below and let me know. Do you have systems in place, or do you have goals, or do you have both? I can tell you for myself, I have both. I haven't really been so heavy-handed with setting up goals for myself, but I've been really heavy-handed with setting up a bunch of systems that would kind of meet me where I'm at. Not really realizing that I was setting up systems. I was just constantly looking at how I can kind of improve my lifestyle I was always really concerned about lifestyle versus just setting up a single-handed goal. I'm just slowly starting to set goals and attaching systems so that I can actually achieve them and measure my progress. But I was always, I don't know, like I never really jumped on board of setting up a bunch of goals because I think I had this fear of actually failing. So now I'm starting to set up a lot more goals for myself, but I'm also making sure that I have healthy systems in place so that it can support me without me comparing my progress to, or my lifestyle to someone else's. So this is all I wanted to share. I hope that you have enjoyed this video. If you did, you can give it a thumbs up. You can also subscribe to the channel if you have not yet already. You can also check me out on Patreon if you have not yet had a chance to do so. We are in the works of revamping the entire Patreon page so that I can actually support you in a more meaningful way. Take a look and see if it's in alignment. I would love to have you in the community. But of course, you just sharing your time and space with me here, it means the world to me. That's all I got for you. Thanks so much for watching, you guys, and I cannot wait to see you in my next video. Bye.